We always take a look at the space that we're going into and say, what is the technology that fits in here? What is the capability of the space? We're here in Washington, D.C., we're constantly asked to go into a place that's 200 years old and do a big live event. When we have a big space, we look to put in big sound, lights, and video. When we have a small, difficult space, we try and make it an intimate event. We match the space to the technology that we're going to bring to bear.
If you get those basics right, that's when you really can add on the cool stuff. To me, one of the neatest things we can do now is video mapping. I mean, what I can do with video mapping in creating a set or an environment, and for me, when I begin looking at that, it also has an inverse effect in I can reduce my lighting costs and use the video mapping really to create some of those lighting effects and some of those things I would normally do for light. So I'm kind of like, let's get the basics right and then add the technology on top of it.
One of our first high-profile mapping events was architectural projection on the side of the Higbee building in Cleveland for the opening of the Horseshoe Casino. We took an architectural CAD of the building, measured and verified all the spacing of all the architectural elements, and then we actually printed the side of the building into a 3-foot by 3-foot, essentially 3D printed structure. Then we projected the content that we had built onto the structure as a proof of concept to ensure that it would work.
One of the coolest events we ever did was World AIDS Day. It featured President Obama, Bono, and we brought in via satellite from all over the world, Bill Clinton, George W. Bush. So there was a lot of technology going on, a lot of really cool material, and it was really fun.
One of the coolest events we pull off, and we pull it off every year, is the DC Central Kitchen Food Fight. It's cool because it's a very well-known event in the DC market. It brings to bear a lot of the food people and stars from television, the Anthony Bourdains and Jose Andreses, and it's in a spectacular venue, the Ronald Reagan Building. Every year, we have to best what we did the previous year. So adding new screens, additional lighting effects is a challenge, and we think we do a great job of it every year.
The coolest event that we've done was our NBA court projection for the Ilgauskas retirement at the Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland. Historically, over 3 decades, we've been an engineering firm, and we got pulled into content creation sort of by chance. We had customers that wanted to do very cutting-edge architectural projection and 3D image mapping. We had hired a young creative director, and he brought in a couple of key individuals, and we decided to bootstrap it and build this content ourselves.
We like to mock up as much of the key factors of a job beforehand. For instance, behind us, there's an LED wall that is set to go to New York City for an opening of a new store on Fifth Avenue. There, we're going to have less than 12 hours to deliver, set, rehearse, do the show, and be off the street. So it's imperative that we set the gear, run through the possible problems, the pitfalls, the backup plan, so that when we get there, we're as seamless and as smooth as could be.
Well, I think if we didn't, take the time to figure out what's really needed, if we didn't, have redundancies and have backups, I think that the events would not go as well, and clients would sort of stop trusting us and would have lower expectations, and then would go on to the next event and to the next venue, and would not trust the crew that's there. And so I think we sort of raise the level of trust and of responsibility that they put on us.
We try and exceed a client's expectations by asking them what the goals are as opposed to what gear they need or what they already had thought of for the event. We try and bring a new perspective and some additional thinking to the whole event so that technology they were unaware of or things that we can do that was not part of their original plan can be incorporated into a greater whole than the individual parts.